Statistician-General Risenga Maluleke says the provision of basic water has increased nationally by 5.9%. Maluleke has just released the results of the Non-financial Census of Municipalities. The increase is from the year 2021 going into 2022. The survey was conducted in 257 municipalities across the country. Newzroom Afrika's Ziniko Mhlaba attended that briefing and joins us now. Ziniko, good morning. I guess, interesting data coming out of that briefing by the Statistician General. But for many people, I'm thinking of residents of Johannesburg, for example. It gives them no sense of comfort given the water challenges that have plagued the metro.
That's right, Prof. We are actually, the Statistician-General Risenga Maluleke did allude to the fact that, well, they deal with numbers, not necessarily emotions and what people might be feeling currently in terms of the provision of these services. So they deal with the numbers and they're telling the story of what the statistics are saying in terms of the lived experiences on the ground. So he's joining me right now, just after, giving us insights on that data. However, Prof, the important thing that is in the mouths and tongues of many people is that, well, we are hearing that there is some increase in terms of the provision of these basic services, especially essential services such as water, sanitation, but also electricity. The question then, Mr. Maluleke, that I need to pose to you is, do you have the means to test the quality of these services that are currently, being provided by the municipalities and the provincial and national government? Do you have access to the data to check and tell South Africans that, well, you're getting a best quality or maybe a not so best quality?
For starters, Ziniko, is that if the numbers that we make available could not meet the test of time and quality prescripts, we would not release them. So we release quality statistics. And the integrity of the numbers should never be questioned in whatever form. And the first thing that we do is that when we make numbers available, Ziniko, we do what we call consistency checks, number one. Number two, we are not auditors, but where we have doubts, we want to see what they have recorded, including in their annual reports. So there are so many checks and balances that we put in place. But one thing I want us to understand when you look at the non-financial census of municipalities is that it's unlike your audited financial statements where we will look at that. But once they write it down, and possibly in some cases the Auditor General's office will have gone through those documents, but in some cases where they report, you find the Auditor General hasn't gone through those records. One of the things is once they report, we are not looking at the number of people that they are servicing. We are looking at the number of units. I will give you an example. You could have a tap in a rural area that supports a certain number of households or a certain number of people. We are looking at that tap as a consumer unit. You could have a meter in Soweto which forms what we call a consumer unit. So we report to them as consumer units. We don't look at the quality. The quality and the disruptions in terms of water supply, we measure them through other household surveys like the general household survey. So this is from the supply side, not from the demand side by households and persons.
Talk to us about the information that's given to you. You mentioned in your closing remarks that you work on trust basis in terms of trusting the municipalities which are responsible for giving you the data that you just shared with us. What informs that trust? Isn't there maybe any room of doubt that the information that they give you, which you give to the public at the end of the day, is credible and accurate?
Official statistics, Ziniko, are based on trust, not even these ones that come from the municipalities. we collected a whole host of number of, and we make releases out of those numbers, about 250 to 270 of them, coming out of households, about what we get from school attendance, what we get from issues of manufacturing, electricity, and others. Assume we were saying every now and then we want to treat South Africans or everyone who lives within the borders of the country that we could not trust what they are telling us. It would be very difficult. So we place a lot of trust in all our collections, be it on the farming communities with municipalities and the like, but specifically on the municipalities, because one of the things we don't concern ourselves with incentives or punitive actions. And of course, there would be in a case where one would repeat a number from a municipality. That's when we probe and go further. But we place a lot of trust on our respondents, be it municipalities, farming communities, high-walled areas, as well as households out there in informal settlements.
Just lastly, SG, how much information from your office do you think it's used by government in terms of coming up with programs that are needed on the ground? And what has been the attitude of government towards using the information that you have to correct shortfalls where there aren't any increases, but also to improve where there are positive results?
Firstly, you're putting me in a difficult position to comment about attitudes, whether it's government or members of the public. But let me mention that as
the relations, then let's use the word relations.
As statisticians, as Ziniko, we are not attaching ourselves to any emotions. And I don't want you to withdraw that word, attitude. It's just that as official statisticians, we don't attach ourselves to the emotions. We make all numbers available, positive and negative, large and small. But one thing is that all the statistics that we release, government is our biggest user. Private sector is our biggest user as well. And of course, from time to time, the Statistician-General gets invited to present to cabinet as well as to different provincial executives as well as municipalities. Our provincial and district managers are presenting to districts as well as to provincial governments, but also political parties do invite us from time to time. They may not necessarily be in government, but they do invite us from time to time to present to them. The private sector does invite us. Educational bodies and academia, we are all over, and we rely on media houses like yourselves to reach out to members of the public.
Thank you, SG. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's the Statistician-General of Stats South Africa, just giving us insights in terms of the report shared coming from the data, looking at the quality and the services municipalities have been providing to the citizens, especially between the year 2021 and 2022. Also very interesting, Pravio, is the fact that in terms of municipalities and mayors, South African mayors continue to dominate the space of mayorship, with only women just occupying a space of about 14%. That's very shocking, especially as we try to balance the gender equation in governance. So that's the latest from us here in Pretoria. Probably back to you in studio for now.
Thanks, Ziniko with the Statistician-General.